Welcome to the 24th round of WTSS Season 7. We're at the biggest event of them all, at Circuit de la Sarthe in France, at the Le Mans Circuit. 24 laps around this grueling behemoth of a race course that has played host to some of the most famous racing events ever held. The biggest names in all of racing have had their chance to turn the wheel around this over 8-mile long road course on the public roads of France. For the entirety of WTSS's entire history, we've seen drivers fight grueling battles from green flag to checkered flag, some even being decided on the final lap. In qualifying, rookie Tristan Wilhoit scored a first career pole in the WTSS. Alongside him is rookie standout Arnie Nugroho, fresh off of his second career victory last week in Monza. It's a double points race on offer. Many championship contenders find themselves in the bottom half of the field, the only exceptions being Alex Constantine in the 17th position and Yuki Tamura up in 4th. Everybody else in the top 11 in the championship mathematically have a chance at leaving as the point leader, but they're all going to have to put in some serious work to get up into that position, including title leader Reid, who finds himself 29th on the grid. It's going to be 24 laps for one of the longest and most prestigious events in the WTSS calendar. Let's get to the start. The pace car has pulled in as the field swings their way through the Ford chicanes out of the final 4 corners of the racetrack. Tristan Wilhoit becomes the third different Rocket Atkinson driver to take the green in a WTSS race this season, and it's at Le Mans. Into the first corner we go immediately. Nugroho has slotted into line ahead of Daniel Voiles. The top 5, 6, actually it looks like everybody up until about 17th place. We have a battle. Everything else before that point has single filed out as we head into the first chicane of many on the lap, with Tristan Wilhoit second in the championship, attacking Reid in the back 4 position. Any points he can gain on Reid is a gain on the championship. Tamura running wide there through that left-hander as we lead our way onto the Mulsanne straight for the first time through Tetra Rouge, one of the most difficult corners in one of these cars to nail without slapping the guardrail. Alison Figueroa might find that out on the first lap and does! Up into the wall immediately. Alex Constantine flirting with it, but he doesn't go up into the barriers, and everybody else looks to have avoided it. Yes, they have. DJ Curtis might have had an off on the start, as Tristan Wilhoit leads us down to the first Mulsanne chicane on lap number 1 here at Le Mans. One of the toughest braking points on the entire schedule. Try to nail your moment without running into the back of the car ahead of you. Everybody seems to funnel their way through cleanly so far, and Tristan Wilhoit leads us out of the first chicane ahead of Nugroho, Voiles, Tamura, and yet that is Aiden Shepard in 5th still. So the top 5 stay as is through the opening half of the lap, but Aiden Shepard is immediately challenging Yuki Tamura down into the braking zone for the second Mulsanne chicane. Can't get alongside that time, but is already looking extremely aggressive and hungry as Nugroho is all over the back of Wilhoit for the lead, heading down to the end of the Mulsanne. If he goes for this move, it'd be a very difficult pass going down the inside here, because the outside lane gets a bit of a run on the exit most times. Wilhoit into the braking point, stays ahead of Nugroho, but not comfortably. That is not a big gap between the top 2. Look at Season 1 Le Mans winner Jeffrey Finguy is up 2 positions already on this opening lap, climbing up the order. On the run down to Indianapolis for the first time today, Nugroho not letting the 08 get any breathing room at all. Pulls up right behind the Seat. Do we have any battles heading into Indianapolis throughout the field? Fabio Vitabassa thought about it on Eugene DeMax, but it is such a scary and difficult corner to make a move in the first place. Bolden side by side with Frazier, but I think that's more of a defensive maneuver for the seasoned veteran. And yes, he keeps the spot ahead of the 96. Meanwhile, back out front, Wang Zawat leads Nugroho, Boyles, and Tamura still through the first lap. The top 10 have stayed basically in formation, but Finguy and Sean Angel are on the move already, up to 11th and 12th respectively. Now you got to keep an eye on through here. These corners are extremely difficult in one of these cars to make a mistake. It is extremely easy to make a mistake. Run wide, go off into the gravel, shoot off into the grass, hit the guardrail. We've seen numerous occasions in the past, drivers ricocheting off these barriers, having taken just a little bit too much to bite on these opening laps, just like you see there with Patrick Smith running a bit wide, but he only catches the curb and a little bit of the dirt on the exit. But you can see how easy it is to overshoot these final few corners. As completing lap number 1, Chanarong Wangzawat is on the point here at Le Mans. A driver who absolutely struggled to get his season going earlier on in comparison to his teammates is out front at the most difficult race of them all. Under the Dunlop sign once again. Mitchell Carter is struggling in that 69 car. They have just not brought the right package today. In qualifying or the race, it looks like. Just absolutely nothing to give. In that homage livery to his team boss Ben Dover's triumphant victory back in Season 4. We watch them all file their way through Tetra Rouge once again. On the limit of control, on the absolute maximum of grip. Look at Louviere under pressure from his teammate Wilhoit there. They somehow file through their side-by-side without contact. And into the braking zone of the first Mulsanne chicane. Wang Zawat continues to have the point, but it's still, once again, like I said, not a comfortable gap at all. Nugroho is letting his presence be known. There's a battle. Chris Louviere has passed teammate Tristan Wilhoit and is now trying to get Wilhoit's title rival Ryan Reid for a position, as you see one of the other Mavericks running wide at the exit of the first chicane. That'll hamper his complete exit through the next portion of the Mulsanne and will lose all momentum. Alex Bignacco inside on Aiden Shepard into the second chicane. He's going to have the preferred line on the exit to try and file past the 42. The top 3 are under a blanket up ahead. But Alex Bignacco trying to get himself up into the top 5 for the first time today on the second lap. And he will clear with help from the slipstream from behind and up ahead, pushing him forward. Logan Hill trying to also follow the 29 through on Shepard, down to the end of the Mulsanne, side by side between the 42 and 11, into the braking zone. Preferred line to Hill on the exit. He's going to get the runoff, and I would presume he'll complete the pass on Aiden Shepard for the 6th position. Scott Roush overtaking Patrick Smith there in the 77 car. And that's Mitchell Mark getting Jeff McLennan, who lost all of that momentum to the first chicane you saw earlier. Wang Zawat now under even more pressure from Nugroho than he was the first lap. Even closer through Indianapolis that time. No battles. Maybe one battle? No, no battles through Indianapolis this time around. Wang Zawat into the Porsche curves for the second time today. You just got to play it safe. Now that you've gotten into a rhythm here, you don't want to spend all of your time trying to push like it's qualifying. These tires are not going to last for 8 laps if all you're doing is driving like it's a qualifying lap. That'll be about where the fuel window is expected to be, so just keep an eye on these guys. See if they're keeping themselves under control through some of the more difficult corners on the racetrack. So far, everybody looks pretty well behaved. Ryan Reid, though, and Tristan Wilhoit are inseparable as Wilhoit runs a bit wide, goes up into the wall. Tristan Wilhoit's in the wall, the second in the points driver. And is that going to be enough damage to force him to have to pit? That is an absolutely detrimental moment to his championship hopes. The Season 4 champ had just gotten into the runner-up spot in points. He was a whopping 47 points back from championship leader Ryan Reid. On the lead up to this event, he knew double points was on offer. He knew there was a chance he could put a serious dent in that 90s point lead. And while chasing him down for a position for 28th place, it's all gone wrong and he's ended up in the wall. Sean Angel, third in points. Fuel system failure from 11th place. I don't believe what's happening in this championship right now. And just as Tristan Wilhoit caught the wall, Sean Angel is sputtering around the racetrack and has to go the whole 8 miles and hope that that thing can make it back to the pits. I simply don't believe what I'm seeing. And I know that Ryan Reid, what he saw in his rearview mirror earlier, and what he's seeing out of it, what he just saw out of his windshield just now, he probably cannot believe what is going on here in France at Circuit de la Sarthe. It is an absolutely unbelievable scenario that we've just had happen over the span of the last 30 seconds. And now, you see Figueroa versus Jeffrey Finguy. Side by side, on the exit. Finguy, former winner here, trying to make himself trying to put himself into the picture here. He's now up to 11th as a result of the Sean Angel machine, but as we can see here, he's trying to put himself up even further on Figueroa, but he's not able to do so. And we have damage to the front of James Gibson in the 75. He's ran into the back of somebody on the racetrack, and I have to assume it's the 4 of Eugene DeMax that has met with the nose of the 75 of James Gibson. And like I said, those braking zones are so difficult, especially in cars like these, into those chicanes. It was something that was bound to happen eventually throughout the whole field, but on the third lap, you really do not want to be responsible for your team having to deal with that the whole rest of the day. Sean Angel limping around the Le Mans circuit at 50 miles an hour. His race effectively over, but I know there's a sense of urgency to get back to the pits still as quick as humanly possible because every point matters, and if there ends up being some attrition on the day, you're going to want to still be out there. Nightmare scenario for Ryan Reid's title rivals right now. But now, Yuki Tamura is under pressure from Alex Bignacco in the 29 for that 4th position. Now what do? You see that you've now been told over the radio that 2 of your title rivals have been bitten by just terrible luck and a big mistake over the last lap, over the last 3/4 of the lap, and now you're in 28th place with a lot of ground to be made up on your teammate who's running up in 4th right now. Do you just push like hell if you're Ryan Reid, or do you try to drive a little bit conservative knowing that you have a bit of a margin to work with? Because all it would take is to make the same mistake that Wilhoit did and put yourself right back into the position where you basically gain nothing on anybody this weekend. Wang Zawat continues to lead, but is not without pressure from Nugroho and Voiles. Voiles just turned the fastest lap of the entire weekend, a 4:08.8 from the 13 car. It has been quite some time since Daniel Voiles won a WTSS race, so I'm sure he would be more than happy to be in position to go for that. Three cars starting to break away from the front. But Alex Bignacco also did a 4:08.9 that previous lap, so he looks really quick. And I would assume Yuki Tamura is going to be under some major pressure here shortly. Angel is limping around. It's a miracle his car's still running. I mean, seriously. Said that the fuel pressure is down to basically nothing. I can't believe that car hasn't stalled yet. They're going to catch him before the end of this lap to go by. So Angel, this is like absolute worst case scenario for the 58. Actually, it's not only that he has to limp back to the pits, but he has to limp back to the pits at literally pacing speeds or even less. Well, for the moment being, Wilhoit is staying out there even with that side damage, and I wonder if he's just going to try to hang on until the pit cycle so that he doesn't end up losing out strategically. Look at Alex Bignacco go! Down the straight, into the second chicane. The straight line advantage on that 29 looks immense as he goes up against Yuki Tamura into the braking zone. Side by side on the exit of the second chicane. Give the 4th position to Alex Bignacco. He is on the move. Scott Roush on Patrick Smith as well. Big move back here. Oh, barely finds a gap to stay alongside on the exit. Oh, but Smith shuts the door. Again, those Audis look really quick in a straight line. Bignacco clears for 4th and now sets his sights on the lead trio. Sean Angel is just exiting Indianapolis right now, so I have to keep an eye on that as they continue on. Yes, they're going to approach the lapper of Sean Angel this time around. And I know that Angel knows how to stay out of the way of a fast-moving pack, but it's probably still a bit nerve-wracking knowing that you've got to get back to the pits if you want to keep this thing in one piece. This has got to be the slowest lap of Sean Angel's entire life right now. Knowing that there is opportunity to still score more points if you can get back to the pits and get whatever's wrong rectified on that car, but when the car wants to drive at only 50 miles an hour max, it's definitely a difficult pill to swallow. Man, when Wilhoit shot off the racetrack last time by, he is very, very lucky that he did not ricochet back into traffic with that way that wall juts out on the exit. We've seen that in the past. We've seen multi-car accidents in the opening laps at Le Mans before from cars ricocheting off that barrier. So it is something that does happen from time to time. It's not an every season thing, but you just have to be wary of it when a car starts to run wide a little bit in front of you. There's Angel. Oh, crashed into the back of Sean Angel! The 63 flies into the back of the limping title contender. And that may put the 58 completely out of the race if that's ruptured the fuel cell on that thing. Oh my goodness, and an uncharacteristic just rookie error from the Season 1 champ puts him out of the race and puts Angel with Angel's crew with even more work to do as he literally rolls to the pit entrance at 20 miles an hour. Wow, that's unbelievable. Oh, Chris Dodd under pressure from Hu Ji-yeon there at the end of Tetra Rouge there, but they keep it civil. Duncan just passed Dodd at the start of the lap, it looks like. Into the first chicane, look at Nugroho. This is the closest he's been on Wangzawat. All race long, and Chanarong kind of runs a bit wide there through the first Mulsanne. Here comes Arnie Nugroho with the run. Does he have enough of it to put one down the inside at the second chicane? Here he goes! Inside move for the lead, lap number 5. Nugroho pulls alongside. Door to door on the exit. Wongsuwat keeps it for now. We have a fight on our hands now here at Le Mans. And it's in the form of the race lead battle between Chonarong Wongsuwat and Arnie Nugroho. This is going to get good. Exiting the Mulsanne once again. William Duncan looks to be on the move right now. Same with Jeffrey Finguy in the 92. They're both making forward progress up the order. Two veterans of the sport. Into Indianapolis once more for the 08. Top 3 inseparable. Less than 2 seconds apart. And after over a minute of damage repairs, Sean Angel has returned to the racetrack. Still functioning, still rolling. He already has a car that he will be able to pass now for position, that being the Brandon Crasta machine that plowed into the back of him. That'll be 2 points that he can salvage right now in his gap to Ryan Reid. But my goodness, you just have to feel for Sean Angel and that Hamilton Autosport crew. That is just one of the most untimely things ever. Especially on the basis that it was looking like he was probably going to get a chance to get back to second in the championship when Wilhoit made that mistake. Like, it was going to be almost secured, and then it was less than 20 seconds later that the message came up on the board that he was reporting an issue with the fuel pump. And so it's just completely unfortunate. Wongsuwat continues to lead. End of lap 5. Nugroho and Voiles not letting him get away. Benyako and Tamura slowly inching their way towards the lead trio. And Finguy miles back, but also turning some really quick lap times. Ryan Reid has lost a spot to Mitchell Mark this lap in the 28. And soon, Wilhoit's teammate and one of Reid's title rivals, Jeff McLennan, is looking down the inside into turn 1. What do you do here? Can you even fight it? That 90 car has not looked good all weekend. And 6 laps into the race, after completing only 5 laps, Tristan Wilhoit has decided that, and crew have decided that car is probably going to blow a tire if he does not pit and fix the damage sustained on the second lap of the race, and will concede his race strategy to the pits, and now is really going to be on the back foot in terms of what he can do for the rest of this event.
It's very possible that he just threw away the championship.
Yeah, a very, very uncharacteristic mistake from the Season 4 champ, and that is...
Yeah, it may have been the worst possible time to make that mistake because his future at the team has been uncertain.
Exactly. Even more so now. And with Angel having his issues, the second and third placed drivers coming into this event in the championship picture have found some sort of misfortune in their day. And now you start to look back to the drivers a little bit further back that are maybe not complete dark horses or long shots, but if you're Ryan Reid, your smile is growing ever larger the farther back you have to look to see the nearest competitor. That would be Chris Louviere in the 83 car. he is currently beating Reid, and Reid is getting beat by everybody right now. That 90 car is hemorrhaging positions. Louviere is in the 26th position, though, so obviously they would want him to be up further. Jake Stavinoff is the next one you'd have to look for. He's 24th place. You have to go all the way to 7th in the championship entering Yuki Tamura to find somebody who's really putting a huge dent in the point lead of Ryan Reid right now. And Sean Angel was. Don't get me wrong. He was running in the 11th position when that car went up in smoke. Or not went up in smoke, when that fuel pump went up and completely seized the car up. But Tamura really seems like the only shining star of any of the drivers considered in this championship picture. And for somebody who really needed a pick-me-up on her season, this is the one right here. Gibson, I am surprised, has stayed out as long as he had. That damage is absolutely going to be affecting the straight line speed on that 75 car, but I think he really didn't have a choice. I think Wilhoit came in the earliest he could physically come in while still being able to technically make it to the end on fuel with one more stop. But it's going to be a difficult journey for that 17 car for the rest of the race, I feel, as Roberto Crown Jr. running a bit wide as he enters the Porsche curves. In the next couple laps or so, we're going to start to see the leaders come in for their first round of green flag pit stops. Man, you just have to feel for the 69 crew this weekend. A team that has so many eyes on them always when they come to this track after what miracles they pulled at Le Mans back in Season 4. But it is just despair. Look at that. That car is handling like an absolute boat as Carter nearly runs off the racetrack through the Porsche curves. On both directions of change. So that's there's nothing positive to say about that car. And there's not a single radio line that we can share over the broadcast that won't have to be censored right now from that team. Mulsanne once again. Wang Zawat with the lead, with a slightly larger advantage over Nugroho. It's 1 second now between the two of them. And what was a side-by-side battle for the lead just a couple laps ago has now turned into Wang Zawat stretching his legs out a bit to maybe try and gap this one. Logan Hill versus Aiden Shepard and William Duncan, who's coming on strong in the late stages of this run. And that's Finn Guy trying to take 10th away from Hu Ji Yan in the 49, side by side. All the way down to the second chicane. Finn Guy tries to pull ahead with that straight line speed advantage. Tries to outbrake the 49. Ji Yan digs deep around the outside. Keeps alongside the 92 and will keep the position for the moment. They're not going to be encountering him immediately, but Sean Angel is just exiting Indianapolis up the road from the leaders. And that extremely wounded 58 car quite possibly is going to end up being traffic that the leaders are going to have to encounter. Now this is a very important set of laps for Tristan Wilhoit here, because this is a moment for him to be by himself on the racetrack with zero distractions to just try and hone in and put as many good laps down as he can. But with that extra 16 seconds they spent repairing that 17 car after taking the tires and fuel, he's gonna have to make up a lot of time. Wang Zawat still not escaping, per se. Nugroho and Voiles have kept him within an arm's length this whole time. Still close enough to just reach him, to take some slipstream off the back of that 0-8, but not enough to make full-blown lunges and attacks for the lead yet. And William Duncan has caught the battle for 6th between Logan Hill and Aiden Shepard. The Willow Springs winner looking for a second trophy on the year. But right now, his aim is going to be probably the tail end of the top 5. As we now are approaching the end of lap number 7, this could be the earliest I would see realistically a driver make the conscious choice to come in for the pits. But based off of what we saw in testing and everything, it's not that simple. The earlier you come in, the worse off you're going to be later in the run. And at a track like this, with how big these laps are, it really shows. It's like a Road America type track where every lap you overcut is the equivalent of 2 or 3 laps you'd be overcutting on a regular sized road course. And so it is magnified as a result. I see one taker up ahead there, though. Allison Figueroa trying something different in the 98. Into the pits she goes. Might as well try something if you're back in 12th.
All right, Mr. Broadcaster, how bad is it? Where are we?
There's another car into the pits. It's Mitchell Mark in the 28. He's from 27th place, so he's going to need a pick-me-up as well.
Oh.
And Daniel Giroux, seeing how hopeless it would be if he just chose to keep staying out and pushing on, comes into the pits as well. And I'm not sure why Mitchell Carter has chosen to continue on with whatever package he's got, but Daniel Giroux at least sensing the urgency to get an adjustment on that car's stat, and he comes in.
Hip, hip.
Figueroa rejoins the racetrack just behind the tail end of the field here. Actually, she's come out of the pits ahead of Mitchell Carter. That tells you how dire it is for the 69 team today. Look at Finguy and Hujian are still going at it for that 10th position. They have not stopped battling. And once again on the Mulsanne, they're going wheel to wheel. Wang Zawat still has not been able to gap any farther than a second over Nugroho. He's keeping Wang Zawat exactly where he wants him. Tamura starting to fall off the back of the top 4. Look at Bichelia taking it 3 wide down the Mulsanne straight. It's going to turn to 2 wide after Gibson clears Stavina. But the Van Dalen driver going aggressive into the braking point at the second chicane. And he gets absolutely nothing from it and finds himself side by side with Louviere in the defense on the exit. Now, this time around would be where I would presume a majority of the field is going to come in. It's going to be a big lap for pit stops. As we exit Indianapolis, you can see the gap has shrunk. Nugroho was either conserving his stuff or was just choosing when to push, because the gap was absolutely under a second there up until he just slightly overshot that right-hander after Indianapolis. Now, the undercut is good around here. Don't get me wrong. It is a strategy that is completely viable, but you are ending up paying the price with a really slow outlap on cold tires. The difference there is that once your tires are up to temp and you finished your outlap, everybody else begins their outlap on cold tires. So Figueroa will have her work cut out for her as Wang Zawat leads the field into the pits. And we begin what is going to end up being one of the most clustered pit lanes in the entire season. And I don't know if we're going to see anybody skip to the 9th lap of this race, to the 10th lap of this race without pitting. I think we are going to see to the 9th lap, to ever see anybody going a 9th lap without a pit stop. I think this is the grand majority of the field saying, all right, we've hit our limit, we're coming in. Now we've hit our window that we can comfortably make it to the end on one more stop. And that's exactly what's happening here. Everybody out into the pits. Yeah, everybody. Wow. So Figueroa is going to have a lot of work cut out for her here. As out of the pits, Wongzawat leads Nugroho. Benyako jumps Voiles. The 13 car having a slow stop. And so now we have a new 3rd place runner. Look at how busy of a pit lane this is. Oh, that's sketchy for Ryan Reid to come out side by side with how tight of this pit exit is. Oh my God! How in the world did he squeeze that gap? Bobby Fraser backed out of it. He knew it was too much of a risk. Reid committed to it, and you couldn't have fit a human hand between that car and the wall. Looks like a really strong outlap from Wongzawat so far. And an incredibly strong outlap from Alex Benyako, who's already gotten up to the back of the 45 of Nugroho. Benyako getting up to speed. Here he comes for 2nd place. Alex Benyako for Ditech Van Dalen. Pulling alongside the 45 of Nugroho. Peeking ahead into the 2nd chicane. Side by side through the middle point. And on the exit, give the spot to Alex Benyako up to 2nd at Le Mans. And now, just like that, Wongzawat has new competition behind, but it is a much larger gap than it was before the pit cycle. Benyako's got his work cut out for him. On the run down to Indianapolis, on this outlap. Who's got the biggest commitment? Benyako looks fast. Tamura looks fast. She's now caught Voiles and Nugroho. Whatever adjustments some of these teams made in the pit stops, they are already paying dividends on the outlap. Look at Figueroa. She's on hot tires already from pitting a lap early. And I'm looking at the positions right now. I think it's been a net loss. I think she had too much traffic on this lap, and it's already been just a complete net loss for the Reid family racing team. Side by side on the run to the Porsche curves. Nugroho versus Voiles and Tamura. And whatever they possibly did to that 45, it is absolutely disastrous of an outlap for the man who was battling for the lead in the opening laps of this race. And the most recent race winner to boot.
I mean, it seems like the 60s had a great go of things.
Yes, Tamura all up to the back of Voiles now for that 3rd position. Her and Benyako making extreme forward progress.
Yeah, she was all by herself in like 5th, and now she is encroaching upon the top 3.
We've seen Tamura have some unbelievable come-from-behind victories this season already. I would not put it past her.
Swat is still leading. Boy, that would sure be something.
It would absolutely put... Oh my goodness, through the Porsche curves, Mitchell Mark is getting aggressive. He's another driver that came in a lap early with Figueroa. But there's just no passing through here. You gotta get creative. Oh, man!
Oh! And creative he gets.
Scares Sebastian Van Dalen almost off the racetrack and finds his way through, and that's going to give a position to Ryan Reid.
And how about Mitchell Mark right there? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sense of urgency when you've got hotter tires than everybody else around here trying to get back up to where you were, at least where you were at before you pitted. Tamura on Voiles now. Benyako had a 2-second a lap faster outlap. Oh, and Bobby Frazier has lost a tire just after coming in for fresh stickers. Oh, and it just passed the pit entrance. Oh, no. Bobby Frazier's going to have to limp all the way back around with a flat tire. It's not as bad as what Sean Angel was subjected to, but it is going to be a miserable 8 miles for Bobby Frazier here. And Tamura's through at the first chicane. While we were too busy focusing on Bobby Frazier, the 60 car is up into 3rd and is in the picture now within a shouting distance of Chanarong Wongsuwat and Alex Benyako. And just like that, how the tides have swung in the first pit cycle of the day. Nugroho looks like he's got absolutely nothing left. Voiles looks like he's fading from where he was at to start off with. Wongsuwat still looks decently strong, though. Even with everybody else catching him, it's not like he's fallen off. It might just be that the others behind him made better adjustments. But we'll have to see if that's just bad short run, and it'll start to develop as the run continues. Tamura looks fast. She's carrying so much more mid-corner speed than the others. Into Indianapolis once again. The gap almost feels like it stayed the same this lap, at least to Benyako. I don't know about Tamura, though. I feel like the 60 car has made gains this lap. Oh, absolutely. She was 1.8 seconds behind Benyako to start the lap, so this is absolutely going to be a gain, regardless of how much. But just remember, there will be a last and second pit cycle later on. Through the Porsche curves on this 10th lap of the race. Frazier still limping back to the pits. He's just now exiting the Mulsanne. And something has happened to Ryan Reid this lap. He's lost about 5 positions. I don't know if it was just him getting wide at a corner and losing his momentum, but he's completely lost touch with those around him. Last time by, Wongsuwat, a 4.11 flat. Benyako, 4.11.3. Tamura, 4.09.9. Almost a second and a half faster than Chanarong Wongsuwat. The 60 car is on the move. And for reference, Arnie Nugroho turned a lap comparable to Mitchell Carter's best lap of the race. A 4:15.0, and has just lost out 5th to Logan Hill. You'd almost think they didn't put tires on that thing. Down to the first Mulsanne chicane. It is Wangzawat still ahead. Benyako is now going to be under crazy pressure from Yuki Tamura, who closes in almost 100 feet in one braking zone to the back of the 29. Slightly bad exit out of the first chicane, though, so she's going to be on the back foot trying to regain her top speed all the way down this second portion of the Mulsanne. She is pulling back to the 29. Is she close enough to make that move? Breaking into the second chicane? No, not quite. Benyako stays ahead for the time being. Tamura sticks her nose in the inside on the exit, though, trying to be creative with something. But Benyako stays ahead for second for now. Hu Ji-yeon versus William Duncan for 9th place. Duncan's going to hang on through the second chicane, as Jeffrey Finguy has not let that 49 go for the entirety of this race. Frazier has made it back to the pits at long last. And the 45 of Arnie Nugroho is reporting a vibration. And could that possibly be what is developing on that car? Could it be a loose wheel possibly developing on that 45? All we know is that the pace is gone from the man who was contending for a second win consecutive possibly today. And look at Tamura. You have to feel that missed opportunity to pass Benyako at the second chicane is really getting to her. She wants to find a way through on that 29 and fast. She knows she's quicker than Wangzawat. But I think Benyako knows that he might also be quicker than Wangzawat. But if he has to drive defensive to keep Tamura back, he's going to lose all that time. Through the Porsche curves on the 11th lap of this race, with Wangzawat still out front. Through the Ford chicanes to enter the 12th lap of this race and the last lap of the first half here at Le Mans. And look at Tamura all over the back of Benyako on the exit there. A 4:10.8 for Wangzawat, 4:10.6 for Benyako, and a 4:10.0 for Tamura. That 60 car is on rails right now, and if she can find a way through on Alex Benyako, she's got her sights set straight on the leader. Oh, Mitchell Mark! Engine failure for the 28. From 26th place, was making forward progress after a poor qualifying. And another championship contender with a mechanical failure, and this one is terminal. Oh, tight on the exit there. Woo! Nearly saw a repeat of what happened with Craston Angel earlier, and Mitchell Mark is out of the race 11 laps in here at Le Mans.
It really does seem like Ryan Reid this year has been blessed by the racing gods.
Every single contender that has even breathed within his vicinity has felt some sort of wrath from the racing gods. Look at Tamura on Benyako for second place. Trying to overcome misfortune with just raw pace. Keeps at the bumper of the 29 all the way on the exit. Matches him on corner exit speed. That's exactly what she needed. This has been one of her strong suits of the entire race, has been her ability to follow in the slipstream. Right up to the back of the 29, peeking out a line. Yuki Tamura into the braking zone. Benyako tries to outbrake. Tamura digs deep, finds the line, gets alongside on the exit, and is through for second on lap number 12. And now you have to start to think Yuki Tamura is in a real contention for the race victory today here in Le Mans and become the first driver to score 3 victories on the year. In a day where Ryan Reid is barely breathing on a top 30. The gap is 3.5 seconds, though. It is not an easy gap to overcome, even with a superior car. Tamura's going to have to work for this one. The question being, how hungry is she? How willing to push the limit is she going to be? And I'd say every ounce you could imagine, if she's still the same Yuki Tamura that I remember. Scoring 5 victories in your rookie season is no mean feat. Sophomore season. And now, starting to gap away from Benyako already. The 60 approaches the Porsche curves for the last time in the first half of this event. And we're still a few laps away from that second pit cycle, which means that these guys are going to have to deal with whatever handling characteristics their cars have for a few more laps. They can't just bail on it and say, fix it now. They're not in the window. Now, as we enter the Ford chicanes on this 12th lap, we are now halfway home to the checkered flag here at Le Mans. Wang Zawat does a 4:10.8 again. It's a 4:9.8 for Yuki Tamura. 1 second gained that time around, down to 2.7 seconds. Nobody else in the field is running 4:09s right now. Except for TJ Curtis, apparently, back in 29th. But I don't see him contending for the victory anytime soon today. Through Tetra Rouge once again. Now in the second half of this event, Wang Zawat has a real shot at a first career victory today. But seasoned veteran Yuki Tamura is not going to go down without a fight. She looked almost distant from the top 3 in that first run. But whatever they adjusted on that 60 car through the pit cycle, it has done wonders. And she is now the fastest car on the racetrack. There's the top 3 exiting the first chicane. Voiles in a distant 4th. You see Dodd going down the inside of Nugroho back there for 6th place, entering the first chicane. And they've come out the other side by side back there. Nugroho is hanging on for dear life to whatever positions he can hold on to, but with that vibration and the ill handling characteristics of that car, I could honestly see Nugroho falling out of the top 10 before we even get to the next pit cycle. That's 10th place William Duncan or 11th place William Duncan just back there in the shot. Aiden Shepard around the outside of Chris Dodd. It was a move attempted by Dodd that turned into being overtaken by the 42. And I have to say, I almost feel like Tamura's already gained a second this lap, and we're barely halfway through the lap. The 60 car is on rails. She's now basically within the slipstream of the 08 now. Now, don't Yuki Tamura fans out there, don't get your hopes up too fast though, because there is still one more pit cycle left to go, and anything could change from there. We saw how drastically it changed during this most recent pit cycle. But it is looking very promising for the Roush Racing Enterprise team and the 60 car, as Tamura is under a second behind Wangzawat when she started this lap, 2.7 seconds back. All of the pressure is on her shoulders, and yet none of it feels like it's pushing any weight down on her. She is going full attack with every ounce of her season on the line here. Now what do? How patient do you have to be? Or how not patient, how impatient possibly do you have to be if you're Yuki Tamura here? Do you just force the issue and just go full send, knowing that you want to gap as much as possible before the pit cycle? Or do you just try to play it safe, don't do any unnecessary risks, and hope that your team can match everybody else's adjustments on the pit cycle? Down the front straightaway, great exit out of the Ford chicanes. She pulled a 4:08.9. That's the second fastest lap of the race. Yuki Tamura alongside Chonarong Wangzawat into turn 1, side by side into the first chicane. Round the outside of the 08, one of the most inopportune passing zones on the entire lap, and she's pulled it off almost. Still wheel to wheel underneath the Dunlop Bridge. They continue to fight on the run up to the Mulsanne Straight. Give the lead to Yuki Tamura, lap number 14. What a brilliant move and a brilliant lap to put herself in that position as quickly as she did. She was nearly 3 seconds faster that lap than Wangzawat and is absolutely out of here now.
Whoa, when did she catch Wangzawat? I thought there was like a 2-second gap.
You just missed it. A nearly 3-second gain last time by to turn the second fastest lap of the entire race, as Tamura has taken the point at Le Mans, but is now under a serious slipstream threat from a hungry Wangzawat who wants to respond, but can't get there in time. Putting herself right at the top of the charts for the fastest lap of this race. Right up there with the rest of them. And Wilhoit is into the pits for what possibly could be his last stop of the race. I don't know about that, though. It'll be touch and go whether or not that 17 can make it to the end on fuel.
I personally doubt it, because it seems like the fuel window is about 8 laps.
I would...
10 laps, that's just a leisurely stroll through the forest trying to save for that damn long, I feel.
Estimations on the weekend have shown that you can make it up to 10 laps on fuel, but it is borderline. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But I am leaning with you guys on the fact that that 17 car's strategy is probably hitting the hopeless point of this race. As Tamura is in the lead, she's not running away from Wangzawat, but that was an entire section of basically just straightaways. And once she gets past Indianapolis corner up ahead, it's going to be her favorite section of the racetrack, where she was gaining so much time every lap on the 08. First of all, first business, though, is get past the lapper of Sean Angel in the 58. Into Indianapolis, they catch the 58 at an awkward moment there. There's not really much you can do. So Tamura just bides her time, goes to the outside of the 58, peeks inside. That's actually a very, very opportunistic attempt and gets through to put the 58 a lap down. Very, very smart decision there because it actually ended up holding up Wongzawat a bit. And now, through the Porsche curves, this is Tamura's best sector on the entire lap. She gained nearly 3 seconds in one lap last time by, and about a second of that 2.7 seconds she gained in one lap, 2.5 seconds she gained in one lap was through here. Through just sheer determined willpower. And look at the gap she's already pulled on Wongzawat this time around. As an inopportune time for Benyako to catch Angel there on the run up to the 4 chicanes. What's the gap looking like now? Across start-finish line. It's a 4:10.9, even with the traffic, versus a 4:12.5. It's already almost 1.5 seconds in favor of Yuki Tamura. How about some of our other title threats in this field right now? You have to go all the way back to the 18th position for the 10th in points driver Alex Constantine in the 64. Then you have Jake Stavanaugh, who comes into this race 6th in points. Chris Louviere comes in 5th in points. That's 20th and 21st respectively. Jeff McLennan, who comes in 4th in points, crosses the line in 25th place that time. Kyle Bichelieu is 11th in points. He's 28th place. Shrimp Engritz is 8th in points. He comes across the line 30th, having just passed championship leader Ryan Reid, who finds himself 31st. And then Tristan Wilhoit, 2nd in the championship. We've seen his struggles today after the mistake he made through the Porsche curves. 35th, and possibly could be even worse if he isn't able to make that strategy work. And last but not least, the man that just got put a lap down in 38th place, the man's 3rd in the championship coming in, Sean Angel. And of course, Mitchell Mark, out of the race with an engine failure. So if you are within the vicinity of Ryan Reid in the championship picture, something has befallen you over, maybe not this race, but the last 2 or 3 races. It has been absolutely remarkable following everybody else around Ryan Reid, but him, find misfortune. And that's not to say that Reid has not executed on those races as well. It's not to say he has not been performing well. This is probably the first bad race he's had in quite some time this season, and even then, it's just the one, but it's a double points affair, which is why it's going to hurt so much worse if Yuki Tamura can win this race. Speaking of Tamura, she has gapped out on Wongzawat. And with probably another lap until we start to see a pit cycle form again, this could be a prime opportunity for Tamura to build a buffer so that even if they have a suboptimal pit stop or a suboptimal adjustment in that final cycle, she could absolutely put herself in a comfortable enough position that she could still stay ahead with the gap she's got in hand.
As they say in France, c'est parti. Or if you don't speak hon hon hon, it means she's left.
That's a very unique one I've not heard before, but that is pretty accurate to the situation at hand right now. And the rest of the field all trying to figure out where they're going to come out at the end of this one. Arnie Nugroho, who was battling for the lead at one point today with now 10 to go, has fallen out of the top 10. And the absolute misfortune that's befallen the rookie, who was looking for his 2nd consecutive win on the season and his 3rd overall. Just something just went dramatically wrong in that pit cycle. Now the question being, does anybody dare come in a lap or two early on this last pit cycle? We saw Alison Figueroa do it in the first set of stops, where she came in a lap early. So did Mitchell Mark. Mark's no longer in this race, so we have one less car worth of sample size, but have to keep an eye on them nonetheless. There's an absolute chasm between the top 5 and 6th place Aiden Shepard. So in terms of top 5, I see these 5 drivers staying in the top 5 for the rest of this race, barring anything crazy happening. And there it is. There's a couple takers that are coming in towards the latter half of the top 20. Mark Nutt, Alison Figueroa, Scott Roush in the 6. I saw Fabio Vitabassa come in as well. So we're seeing some undercutters here. Some people splitting off from the usual strategy. DJ Curtis finds his way into the pits. Elijah Innes, Shrimp Engrits. You have to if you're Ryan Reid. Yep, Reid is in. How about last week's podium sitter, Ryan Bolden? Nope, not quite. Sebastian Van Dalen, he comes into the pits. Oh, look at how loose the Daniel Giroux car is. Slipping and sliding through those corners like it was a dirt track. He comes into the pits. His tires begging for mercy. And what can you even say about Mitchell Carter's day, honestly? He is still coming through the Porsche curves. Just non-existent today. You'd almost think they put Rich Energy in the fuel cans. And out of the pits we go. Mark Nutt maintains the position of all the cars that came into the pits. And they've come out just behind the 7 of Ryan Bolden. So that is a lead lapper who is yet to pit. He'll be on old tires. And if these guys' tires can get up the temp quick enough on the lap, they might catch him. And Mitchell Carter has chosen to pit here, so... Carter has some pretty sizable right-hand side damage on that car. I think he's been in the barriers at Tetra Rouge, coming onto the Mulsanne at some point this race, which is a very easy thing to accidentally end up doing. Tamura's still turning 4-minute 9s. She is just on a mission right now. Already has brought the gap out to a larger gap than it was when she was chasing the lead down. And with this probably being the lap where she comes in for her final pit cycle of the race, this will be a very important moment for Roush Racing Enterprises to get this one right. And I would definitely say that it is still not quite possible to count out Benyako, Hill, or Voiles yet this race. I'd say anybody 6th on back really are not in the conversation for this lead battle, but given the right adjustments, we saw Tamura gain nearly 3 seconds in one lap. The right circumstances could still give them an opportunity. Tamura is into the pits, as is Wang Zawat. I assume that everybody, or at least 95% of the field, is going to be in this lap.
Just gotta be careful not to mess up the pit entry. It's a very easy thing to do.
It can be difficult at times. Sean Angel continues on, but he's a lapper.
You got all the marbles from the chicanes. You gotta go through them, and that's very difficult sometimes.
Yep, Tamura. This is an important stop for that 60 team. They nailed the adjustments the last time around. Is somebody staying out? No, it's just Sean Angel. And out of the pits, very tight on exit with Daniel Voiles. Tamura continues with the net race lead. Out of the pit lane. Wongzawat in second. Binyako still third. Voiles is still fourth. Hill is still fifth, or maybe not. Swings around the 13. Brilliant. What a stop from the Rolling Logs team. Yeah, you got to make some sizable adjustments on that 45. They were struggling from the moment they left the pits after that first cycle.
It's a very tight pit lane.
It is. Ooh, scraped along the
So-
edge of the wall there on the exit.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of these position losses have to do with getting into your box. It's
And
really
getting out of the
hard.
box.
Yeah, and getting out. Really hard to get in and out.
And I think
Here.
Jeff McLennan, no, he's not. I think he's had some sort of a collision, or maybe he's bounced off the wall at some point, but he has some left side damage on that 87 car. I'm not sure from where, but it would not surprise me. Tamura in the lead with now 8 laps to go at Circuit de la Sarthe. Now the question being is, did Roush Racing Enterprises manage to keep that car just as good as it was before and adjust with the track? Or has somebody else managed to do it better? We'll have to find out over the coming laps.
Not to play bias, I sure hope they did.
Oh, Alex Binyako! Tire failure from third place! They must have clipped the valve stem or something on the tire when they were putting it on. And he's just deflated one down the Mulsanne on his outlap. Oh my goodness. And he's not even going to make it back. The 29 is going to come to a stop. And a top 5, possibly race win capable day at the biggest race on the calendar is going to come to a grinding halt at the chicane. They somehow squeeze past double Vile around the 29. And what was a battle for 6th is now a battle for 5th place. Chris Dodd on Aiden Shepard.
Well, that's one of those drivers that you're saying was in contention for this win that is going to get knocked out of it.
Yep, now down to 4 names that I could see even having a threat of a chance. As Dodd clears Shepard just before the braking zone at the end of the Mulsanne. Oh, Mitchell Carter in the wall. You saw it right there.
That team's never been known for the handling on their cars.
No, but today this weekend more than others, it's been just absolutely torrid. All right, this will be an important moment for Yuki Tamura and her entire team to see if they've been able to keep up with the times in this race. We saw earlier when she made the gains to come back to try and gain on the race lead, she almost pulled 3 seconds on Wongzawat before getting the lead in the middle of that second run. And so in this third run, she'd be hoping that maybe she'd just be hoping that they didn't touch the car at all. Just let her run with it.
Really hard to make adjustments on these cars on road courses without completely messing them up. Such a fickle thing.
There's Figueroa, one of the cars that came in a lap early. Same with Mark Nutt. They're both about to crack the top 10. All right, we'll get a comparison on the pit lane and outlap portions of these drivers' laps and see what the gap is beginning the third and final run of this race. But it looks larger to me. It's a 4:58 outlap for Yuki Tamura versus Chanaron Wongzawat's 4:59.7. So that is a 1.4 second loss in the pits in the outlap for Wongzawat.
Part of that what tells me if any of that was gained on pit road, they might not have touched the car. Why not? I'm talking about 60. If you
Yeah,
pull
we'll
up that gap, feel like you save time on all parts of your lap, on your out lap, if you get what I mean.
Yep. Look at Mark Nutt on his hot tires, making a big move around Takeda there for the 9th position.
The only problem with being in the position that Tamura is that you're the one being chased, so you don't feel the need to make any changes on your car. So you might fall behind on the track if it changes.
That might have been what happened to Nugroho during that first pit cycle. Six seconds is the gap. Between Tamura and Wang Zawat.
I don't think that gap's getting any smaller, do you?
We'll have to do some comparisons here, but it doesn't look like it. Down to the end of the Mulsanne on lap 18.
Heart dropped for a moment. I didn't realize that's just how the braking line they take.
It's about still 6 seconds. It's not shrunk or gained or anything. Same with Hill and Voiles. It's still about 14 seconds or so. Nobody making any serious dents on each other through the top 4 currently.
This is the worst corner on the track, in my opinion.
The scariest one, if in case anything goes wrong, yeah.
Yeah. There's not a name for that little right-hand flick before the break point of Indianapolis.
No, there isn't.
But I would say that corner is the worst. Like I said, that corner is probably the worst on this entire track.
Some have given it the unofficial nickname of Trenton before.
I have, yeah.
Tamura will be taking 6 laps to go this time in the 60 car. Could it be a 3rd win on the year in a double points event where teammate Ryan Reid has found himself all the way down at the very edge of the top 30? He's now found himself in 26th with a good pit cycle with that undercut strategy as he attacks James Gibson for 25th, but it is still not easy going for the 90. But what an important day it would be for Tamura if she could capitalize on this day. A 4:10.9 is about a second slower than what Tamura was running during the last runs, but it's a 4:11.6 for Wang Zawat. So the track conditions might just be getting slower as a whole. Voiles and Hill are running marginally quicker, but they're 14 seconds back and are not going to make any inroads if they only gain a couple tenths a lap. Wow. Chris Dodd and Aiden Shepard both turned a lap over a second faster than Tamura, but with the lack of safety cars on these road courses, nothing they can do being 25 seconds back. They should have been quicker through the midpoint of the race. Mark Nutt on Cale Teskar Jr. for 8th place. Teskar, not a name we've mentioned all day today, but he has quietly hung around the top 10 in that 26.
Gonna make it hard for Mark Nutt. We approach Tetra Rouge.
Yep. And Nutt, though, with the preferred line here around the outside. Overshoots it a bit, though. They stay side by side on the run to Tetra Rouge, but Nutt will clear, and that allows Takeda down the inside of the 26. Oh, always sketchy to go side by side
Optimistic.
through here. Teskar breathes on the guardrail but doesn't touch it. They stay side by side on the run back onto the Mulsanne.
That is a corner you have nightmares being alongside someone in.
And they're still side by side all the way down to the first chicane.
You just lose so much time being beside someone because it's not just that, it's the straight.
And that is the damning moment for Tristan Wilhoit's race. He's come in for his third pit stop after the untimely contact with the wall on the second lap of the race that ended up putting him off cycle and puts him at the back of the field, square and completely now. Tamura's going to have to deal with the lapper of Shawn Angel once again. She caught him at this point on the racetrack the last time as well, so it's deja vu completely for the 60 car here.
You're hoping to get him here and on a straight line, relatively. Then try and get him through Indianapolis or Porsche curbs.
Yeah, we've already seen that part go wrong.
Yep.
Biding her time, being patient with it, picking her moment. The 58 car is heavily wounded from that contact with Krasta earlier. And Tamura clears the 58 around the outside. And now has no more traffic in sight for the rest of the event. Oh, James Gibson. Tire failure for the 75 at the end of the Mulsanne, and that's going to be a free position for championship leader Ryan Reid.
That is the second that I've seen tire failure on the Mulsanne.
Yeah, that is the second of this run. It's only the third failure of the race, and Frazier was the only one who was able to limp back to the pits with his tire issue. Nugroho down the inside, switches to the outside at Indianapolis, gets William Duncan for the 14th spot. A very opportunistic move.
It's just a very abrasive track, I feel like.
It can be, that's for sure. It's going to be 5 laps to go this time at Le Mans. Tamura across the line, a 4:11.0. What about Wangzawat? Is there any improvement or response? It is a 4:11.0. It matching Tamura's lap. But matching is not what they need to catch. Dodd and Shepard look immensely fast. They are the fastest 2 cars on the racetrack, but it is just too little too late for them. 4:09.2 and a 4:09.6, respectively.
You can gain seconds at a time on this racetrack, but that is rare to see, especially for the lead. So the longer Wangzawat takes to close in, the more Wangzawat's going to have to gain in these closing laps. And eventually it's just going to be insurmountable.
If Wangzawat was turning similar laps to the Shepard and Dodd machines, I could absolutely see him being there within the next 3 to 4 laps. But that's the thing, is that he's not. That was only he matched Tamura's lap time. He would need to start gaining that amount of time per lap this time around.
And even then, I think he needs some mistakes from that 60 car.
Oh, roll reversal from the lap ago. Test car hangs on around the outside. What a forward drive from Chris Louviere. Important points for the 83 to be gained. Just took 21st from DJ Curtis. Ryan Reid is 25th. So even then, it's still only an 8-point gain on the championship leader. Alex Mignacco has come back out on the racetrack ahead of Shawn Angel So will not lose another position in this race, but
That's gonna really hurt.
heart
That's
rate.
really not just gonna hurt Alex Piniaca. That's gonna hurt Wang Zawat's chase. I feel like sliding right in that gap. I'm pretty sure, didn't he?
No, he's
Oh.
oh man, and that's Wang Zawat catching Angel on the exit of the Mulsanne and getting held up a bit.
You're gonna need to start. Go ahead.
The only thing that's gonna stop Yuki Tamura at this point is an act of the racing gods themselves.
You're gonna need to start turning your best laps of the weekend, maybe ever, if you want to have a chance at catching Yuki on merit at this point. Without, like you said, intervention.
Tamura is coming down to the Porsche curves again. She could very well win this race by 10 seconds if she really kicks it up. Which is absolutely insane to think about when she was nearly 10 seconds back herself during that first run.
You gotta think that whoever her crew chief is probably not telling her to not.
It's not in Yuki Tamura's DNA to back off. We've seen it before in her career that it's been to a detriment when she was at Maverick for those 3 seasons. She ended up scoring 5 victories in 1 season, though, with that mentality, and so it obviously proved there was an upside to it. She's really been able to hone her craft this season in her inaugural year for Roush Racing Enterprises. The luck has not been on her side on occasion, but whenever she's in the picture for the race victory, she's normally at the front of that picture. Teams are still scratching their heads over what the 60 team did on the final pit stop cycle at Talladega to make that car so fast. They still can't prove if it was illegal or legal. Just that they know that there's no way they could have done that. 7 seconds now between Tamura and Wang Zawat. Sean Angel's into the pits for his final stop. The wounded 58 car just rolling to the finish.
That'll be a sigh of relief for a lot of the drivers behind him.
Absolutely.
They don't have to deal with that 58 anymore. Free time to the 08 as well for Logan Hill.
Yes, it will.
Not that it matters for that position. I don't think Logan's gonna get there.
Tamura is onto the Mulsanne straight with 4 laps to go, and you can barely see her competition in the same frame as she heads down to the first chicane.
Takes quite a wide shot, or quite a long shot, down a very straight piece of road.
Right here, you'll truly get a picture of the gaps. There's Logan Hill and Daniel Voiles entering that first chicane. And you're not going to see Chris Dodd or Aiden Shepard until right now. And so that gives you a scope of the scale of this run that she's had from the pit cycle to now, from that first pit cycle to now.
And we've been saying that those two, the 8 and the 42, were gaining originally in the run. I don't know now, but
Shepard is no longer, but Dodd still turned a second quicker than the 60 last time around.
mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, 4 laps to go, you're not going to make up 23 seconds.
But it's that gap is smaller than what it originally was, is I guess what I'm trying to get at.
Almost 40 seconds covering the top 10 positions. And a minute covering the top half of the field. There's 2 teammates right there. Stavinaugh versus Roush. Roush no longer really in the championship picture. Stavinaugh is in that title picture, and he's going alongside the 6 on the exit of the second chicane. And as they come down the Mulsanne to the end of the final portion of the straightaway, Stavenall trying to clear the number 6 car, maybe with a little help from Constantine. Under braking he goes. Roush outbrakes his teammate. Both of them are deep on the brakes, way deeper than Constantine was willing to go. Side by side, and even though they're teammates, there's still definitely a competition going on between teammates at that organization. James Gibson comes out of the pits after towing for his tire failure.
Where is Wangsul?
I doubt that the leaders are going to catch him by the end of this. I think that Tamura is not going to have to deal with any more traffic until she sees that checkered flag. Coming to 3 laps to go at Le Mans. Tamura trying to make this a no contest.
Just gotta hope that if anyone else does begin limping around, that
10-5.
far enough away from you.
Yep, a 10-5 for Tamura and 11-4 for Wangzuat. It's now 8 seconds between the top 2. Dodge still turning low 4.9s. 49.4. Ridiculous speed out of that number 8 car, but it's just too late to do anything. He's not even going to be able to catch Voiles or Hill.
It's going to be impressive looking at the timesheet, but
no change in the result currently.
no.
Stavenall has made a huge pull away from teammate Scott Roush now since making that position, and he's hoping that he's going to be able to do the same thing with Sean Angel here.
Not really his teammates.
Oh no!
Forte.
Another title contender, and it's Chris Louviere blowing an engine in the final chicane from 21st. One of the few drivers that was going to gain points on Ryan Reid is up in smoke. Another title contender finds the misfortune here at Le Mans. It's unbelievable scenes. There's 11 drivers that could leave this race with the point lead, and of those 11, 6 of them have found problems.
Wow, that is, all I can say at this point is, embarrassing. Yeah, this was, this is probably the most important race of the season for Maverick, and, yeah, it's...
At what point?
Drop the ball.
At what point does this turn into a pattern? We saw this in South Africa as well. Reid was
Close
having
enough,
a
walking
bad...
back cars too.
What deity did Ryan Reid find, and what did he sacrifice?
Everything, apparently. Reid has been in the WTSS for quite some time, starting at his own team that Alison Figueroa now drives at, and switching over to Roush Racing Enterprises after a couple of seasons, and he's never been in conversation for a championship before, but this season he has taken the point lead about 5 races into the year and has never looked back. And even when you think you've got him on the ropes, when you're going to knock him down and hold him down and be able to take that position away, something always gets in the way. There's been races where Reid looked completely hopeless. There's been races where Reid has crashed, and he still managed to come back and he gained points on the people around him.
All you can do is laugh. If you're fighting, like, what can you do? You are doing everything right, and it's just you're just not getting the finishes. And there's nothing. It's not even execution.
Jeff McLennan is the fastest car on the racetrack right now. He's just caught Reid now, so every position that he gets ahead of this 90 car is 2 points gained on the title chase. He comes in top 5 in the championship still, 4th in points coming in. I'm sure it's probably not as much as he would have wanted to gain on the 90, but it could be something if he can just get right to that 90 and make a pass.
Getting 2 points is better than losing 2 points. That's a 4-point swing.
That is true. You're right.
Wow, the 66 is still going backwards.
Yeah, it looks like...
I really don't know what Maverick missed today.
It looks very similar to what the Jakarta Auto Crew did with Nugroho during that first pit cycle. It also could actually end up helping teammate McLennan here if McLennan catches up to that 66, gains 2 more points that way as well. But it would have to be a case where he passes him and Reid is unable to catch him in time. So I don't necessarily think that there's any way to think that that was team orders, but that is definitely something that could benefit him later in the race, as Yuki Tamura takes 2 laps to go at Circuit de la Sarthe ahead of Chonarong Wongsuwat. The gap is now 8.7 seconds, and I think that if she keeps this pace up, she very well may win this race by over 10 seconds.
Talking about that 66, I mean, it's just him going into business for himself. I mean, it benefits William Duncan to have all those cars behind him.
Yep, for the time being. Ryan Reid is in 24th now as a result of all the chaos around him. He's catching Roberto Crown Jr. in the 46. And so everybody's converging on one another in the dying stages of this race. Except for out front. At one point, it looked like Tamura wasn't even in conversation for the lead. She had dropped back off of the top 3. But they made an absolutely remarkable adjustment to that car during the first pit cycle. She pulled it back from nearly 10 seconds back and cleared nearly a 3-second deficit in 1 lap when she caught up to the 08 of Chonarong Wongsuwat. And it has been a drive of a veteran today from Yuki Tamura. Stavinoff still pulling up further up the order. He's trying to catch 15th and 14th place Fabio Vitabassa and Arnie Nugroho. Him and Alex Constantine are really the only drivers within a mathematical shot of the point lead that have any sort of gains to be made right now. Serious gains, I would say. Jeff McLennan has just caught and passed Ryan Reid for the 24th position, but Reid in the slipstream, back to the back of the 87, into the braking zone at the first chicane, trying to get back through on the 87. But
At the very least, hold him up.
Will he throw himself up into the exit? Oh, bad line on the exit from Reid. Has he gotten too greedy? Has he put himself vulnerable to Trimp Engritz? Engritz is another driver in that title bubble. And like I said, 2 points is still 2 points. It's a 4-point swing if you pass the guy. It's 2 points for every spot after the fact.
I mean, at this point, who's to say he can't reliably expect those two to explode at precisely the same millisecond as each other?
I mean, honestly, at this point, you can't write off literally anything when it comes to his competitor's luck. Down to the Porsche curves for the second to last time for the 60 of Yuki Tamura. Unbelievably dominant drive. She got the lead just before the halfway point of the race. Just past the halfway point of the race and has never looked back. Let's keep an eye on some other contenders out here. Stavina is catching Nugroho and Vitabassa. We'll have to see if he has enough time as we're entering the final lap coming soon. And then there's Roberto Crown Jr. just up ahead of both Jeff McLennan and Shrimp Engritz, with the addition of Sean Angel thrown in as a wild card there. Could be more points on the cards for those guys as well. Through the 4 chicanes, though, in front of the crowd, the flagman displays the white flag in the air after 23 laps of running at Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans. 1 lap to go, 8.08 miles left to go for Yuki Tamura. And the gap has grown to 9.5 seconds, and now you can start to think realistically that the 10-second gap might actually happen.
You were just joking about it.
Dodd might cut the gap down to under 20 seconds by the end of the checkered flag.
That feels like Chris Paul cuts the lead down to 40.
Hits huge 3.
The Atlanta Hawks cut the lead down to 50.
Nugroho out in front of Vita Bassa with a hungry Jake Stavino approaching. More points on the cards for every spot he can get. And there's McLennan chasing down Roberto Crown Jr., who is struggling massively, nearly 4 seconds slower than these guys behind him. There's the white flag for those guys, as well as Sean Angel in the way of all of them. If you're Crown Jr., you really just want to get by right now before you even have any chance to get held up through the midpoint of this lap. And Angel stays ahead, much to the begrudgingness of the 46. Down to the second chicane for the final time. The gap has shrunk between the Hill and Voiles battle and Wangzawat. They almost caught the second place position. But from the moment she took the lead, you almost had to feel like there wasn't anybody that could stop her, even if they felt like they could. Came into this series as a hotshot rookie a few seasons ago, had a very, very, very inconsistent time in WTSS. Winless, then 5 wins, then winless again. Tamura came into this season with high expectations in her debut season for Roush Racing Enterprises, and expectations have been through the roof with all of the success she has found. Oh, as we can see Cale Teskar Jr. attempting 3 wide into the second chicane on the last lap. That top 10 is on the cards for all of these guys. Stavinov has caught Nugroho and Vita Bassa on the last lap.
I'm probably trying to scare who's racing. Takeda, I think.
And McLennan gets through on Crown Jr. What about Reid on Angritz? Oh, he's going to go for it. Try to get back through on the 59. And does. But in a season where it felt like nobody has been able to take control of the reins other than Ryan Reid, wouldn't you know it that it's another Roush Racing Enterprises car that's been able to find a way to seem to have found some consistency this season. She'll be the first driver of the entire season to crack the 3 wins mark, which sounds remarkable when you think about it. In the history of WTSS, we've never gone this long into a season without a 3-time winner at least. Through the final time, only 4 more corners to go. Yuki Tamura heads into the Ford chicanes. The crowd are on their feet for the driver who now aims her sights back on the championship. She's gotten it back under control, and an absolutely dominant victory results in Yuki Tamura winning the 24 laps at Le Mans. Chanarong Wangzawat can be proud of the stand he put up. Second place for the 08 rookie. Logan Hill comes home on the podium ahead of Voiles, just barely. Chris Dodd flying at the end, but if he had just found that speed earlier, he might have had a shot at victory. Aiden Shepard comes home in 6th. Mark Nutt gets home in 7th with some absolutely immaculate strategy calls from Hamilton Autosport. Hu Ji-yeon, Allison Figueroa, and Jeffrey Finguy are going to round out the top 10. Oh my goodness! Jake Stavinow's blown the engine on the last lap from 16th! And another title contender of Ryan Reid's is up in smoke! He's gonna limp to the checkered flag through the pit entrance! Can he still beat the 90 to the line to at least gain some points?
What the heck?
There's Reid coming through the chicanes right now, but it's a shorter trip through the pit entry lane. Across the line, Stavinow goes in 22nd. And another driver, even while the checkered flag was falling, found misfortune in their quest to gain points on Ryan Reid. The rest of the top 15 is Ray Takada, Cale Teskar Jr., Eugene DeMax, Fabio Vitabassa, and Arnie Nugroho. Constantine comes home in 16th place. Then we have Stavinaugh, who salvaged 22nd, Jeff McLennan 23rd, Ryan Reid 25th, Shrimp Engritz 26th, Kyle Buschelia 27th, Tristan Wilhoit gets to 32nd by the end. Sean Angel attritions his way to 37th after that accident early on with his mechanical failure. Chris Louviere 38th, Mitchell Mark 39th, and Brandon Crasta, after colliding with Sean Angel early on, ends up dead last at the end of the 24 laps of Le Mans. We saw it in the early stages. Wang Zawat got away, but was always being reeled in by Nugroho, who never let Wang Zawat get away by more than a second and a half. But as the race progressed, except for one occasion where Nugroho got side by side into the second chicane on Wang Zawat, there was really no challenge to be made to that 08 car. That was until we got to the first pit cycle, where Nugroho's team made a bad adjustment, completely threw their race away, and had to settle for 15th by the end. But the driver who entered 4th place into the pit cycle and was nearly 10 seconds back at the start of the second run, Yuki Tamura, closed in lap after lap after lap, and when she finally caught Wang Zawat with a killing blow, gaining 2.5 seconds on one lap alone, caught and passed the 08 just before the second pit cycle, and they made sure that that car was just as good through the whole final run, and by nearly 10 seconds, Yuki Tamura is a winner at Le Mans. As we see James Gibson rounding the final couple corners to complete everybody crossing start-finish. But it is pride and joy for Yuki Tamura, who proved why she belongs in the championship conversation. And after it's all said and done, nearly 2 hours later, the 60 car is on top. Congratulations to Yuki Tamura, your winner here at Le Mans. We'll see you next race in the UK at the Rockingham Speedway for the second largest oval in all of Europe, to round off the final oval of the European Tour.